Let's look at control. So control means the switching of the installation or any part of it on or off. The IE regulations refer to this topic as isolation and switching. So isolation and switching. So isolation is the cutting off of electrical energy from every source of supply, and this function is performed by a switch fuse or a fuse switch. Get the difference between these two. So this function is performed by a switch fuse or a fuse switch. Isolator. This is simply a double pole or triple pole switch in which the moving switch contacts are mechanically linked. In this way, both line and neutral or all phases in a three-phase system are disconnected from the supply. Switch fuse. This is an extension of the isolator in a way that the load side of the supply is interrupted by a fuse in the line conductor. Fuse switch. Fuse switches are used on three-phase systems. Hence, the fuse forms part of the moving operating blade. Consumer unit. Consumer unit is found nearly in all domestic installations. It consists of a double pole, isolator, and distribution board in one assembly. Circuit breaker. The means of isolation must be double or triple pole. So double in single phase and triple pole in three phase. So modern consumer units have residual current devices installed in place of usual isolator. So this can be an MCB or a DP switch, or maybe an MCCB. Sequence of control of a single-phase electrical supply system. So with the domestic installation, the main switch in a consumer unit is considered to be a means of isolation for the whole installation. And each fuse or circuit breaker is considered to be an isolator for the individual circuits. Ideally, all of these devices should have some means of preventing unintentional reionization, either by locks or interlocks. In the case of fuses and circuit breakers, these can be removed and kept in a safe place. The sequence of control is as shown in the next diagram. So in many cases, isolation and locking off come under the requirements for switching off for mechanical maintenance. Hence, a switch controlling a motor circuit should have, especially if it is remote from the motor, a means of locking in the off position. The supply intake position of any premise is generally a matter of agreement between the electrical contractor and the supply authority engineer. So the authority will want the position to be in the most convenient place to reduce the cost of the supply equipment, e.g. the cable. The installation engineer, on behalf of his client, is also invested on a suitable position, e.g. where meter reading is considered and easily accessible. For domestic installation, the cable is usually 2-core, that's a drop cable, and paper insulated or PVC, and provided with a steel wire armoring and covered with a protective covering referred to as jute or tape. The 2-core service cable conductor are jointed to 2 of the main cable cores, one to the neutral and the other to the line conductors, by means of a mechanical connector called line taps. The service cable are taken to insulator, mounted on D-ions, cleated to the walls or metal angle bars of the walls of the house, and then run to the supply intake position. Whether overhead or underground service, 3-phase 4-wire connections are made in similar manner to the 2-wire services. Note that it is a requirement of IEE regulations, that is 470-1, that every consumer's installation shall have adequately controlled by switchgear which is readily accessible to the consumer, and which shall incorporate 1. Protection against electric shock, 2. Protection against overcurrent, and 3. Means of isolation and switching. The images are shown below.